Hi there, this is Adam Jones from Shimano. I'm out here in Sweden, messing around catching some perch on what is probably the most beautiful lake I have ever been to. I'm going to start casting my BFS reel and just go through a few of the things that I'm thinking about when fishing BFS. Techniques, tips, reasons I do it, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in BFS, perch fishing in general, then come with me and let's have a little chat about BFS. Let's go. Right, so here we go. I've got the BFS reel set up. I've got a little goby presentation and I'm just pitching it into these reeds at the moment, trying to find a few perch. Now there are some bigger perch in this lake. We found lots of small ones so far, and all we're doing is just bouncing, oh there you go, that is a perch, just bouncing these jigs along the bottom and trying to pick up a better fish. The thing I love about the fish here, just move us back a little bit, is how aggressive they are, and this one is potentially one of the bigger ones of the day. Yeah, that's a nice fish. We've just been bouncing these around the reeds, just trying to find feeding shoals of perch. And that isn't the biggest fish I've ever caught, but it's a beautiful Swedish, probably just under 40 centimetre abore perch. That is absolutely stunning. And the thing I love about these fish here is they are straight out of a perch factory. You couldn't draw a prettier perch than that. That really is an absolute stunner. So I'm going to get this fish back and then I'll talk you through a little bit more about what I'm thinking when I'm bouncing that jig on the bottom. So there we go. Let's see if we can repeat that demonstration. It'd be brilliant if there's a shoal of slightly bigger fish over there. But before we get another bite, let's just talk a little bit about what I'm trying to achieve. So at the moment, I'm fishing a little goby presentation with a nice tight paddle tail, loads of buoyancy in the bait, and I'm just bouncing it along the bottom, just taking up the slack, couple of bounces, couple of twitches, and just letting it rest. And those fish are generally hitting it just as it hits the bottom. So they're obviously watching it as it bounces. With this goby, it's quite a big bounce. It kind of flops over, gives loads of time, almost like a semicircle arc back to the ground. And then it's as soon as it hits the deck, second, bam. The trick with finesse fishing for perch, and I've said it in a few other videos, is just trying to slow down, even this time of year, just trying to give them time to see the bait, just trying to pull them out of wherever it is that they're hiding. Now, here we've got a set of reeds on our left, a bit of weed coming off the reeds, and those fish are sitting either in the reeds or just suspended above the weed underneath. So probably this much weed on the bottom, and we're just trying to bounce this in and around that structure. So fished on a BFS setup, the thing that I love, and I've said it again in a few videos, is it's a bit deeper over there, how close my hand is to the blank. So both hands, the center of gravity of my control is right here. I don't have another hand below the rod trying to manipulate the tip, and all I want to do is just keep the tip of that rod just moving that goby a couple of inches, 6 inches each time. I find if I've got a reel here, I'm just not in quite the same amount of control of the tip, whereas when I've got it all in line with my hand, I just find that I've got a little bit more control. So that's why I favour BFS over a fixed spool setup when it comes to specifically this sort of perch fishing on the bottom. So when you're using BFS in these sorts of scenarios, there's a couple of really good advantages. Like I said, that ability to move the rod tip really tightly to your bait, just a couple of inches, and the ability, especially with this HG, just to take up an inch of line with just almost a quarter turn of the handle is massive when you are fishing slowly. That's a bit of weed. The only other thing to think about in terms of like getting the most out of your bait caster, maybe to think about when you're casting up to heavy structure, trees, bridges, that sort of stuff, is getting your spool to run slightly faster on those pitches, because what you want to be able to do is pitch it out to wherever it is that you want to fish, and then have your spool continue to run as your bait drops down in the water column, so that it drops straight down next to whatever it is you're trying to fish to, rather than swing away, obviously tight to your thumb. So get it to hit the water with your thumb, stop it, take your thumb off, and just watch that spool unwind as that bait goes down to the bottom. That will pick you up a few more fish, because visually you know where the structure is, but you're not necessarily hitting it every single time if your bait caster is running too slowly. And that is the beauty of these BFS bait casters. You can get that spool running so fast that with a slightly overweighted jig like a 10-gram cheb or like this goby, you can really get that spool running and get that jig to run, that was a good cast, and get that jig to run dead straight down pieces of structure. So you can pitch it out there and then get it running all the way down to the bottom. So I hope that's been interesting. It's been great to catch a couple of fish. It's not the longest video in the entire world, but if you haven't tried BFS, it is a brilliant way to control those finesse presentations, your Texas rigs, Carolina rigs, Ned rigs, Cheb rigs, that sort of stuff. It's really good fun. It's always good to get out there and learn something new. So if you haven't tried it, give it a go, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. As always, like and subscribe, and we will see you sometime on the bank in the future. Speak soon.